Welcome to the MontCAS Test Security and Data Integrity video series. The purpose of this video is to provide the viewer with an overview of the Montana Comprehensive Assessment System program and the state and federal requirements to participate in these assessments. This video will explore these two objectives so the viewer can complete this training with the following understandings: knowing what the Montana Comprehensive Assessment System program required assessments are and why they should be administered with fidelity, knowing what the state and federal requirements are for administering the assessments in the state of Montana accredited schools. Why should you assess? Assessment is among an instructor's most essential educational tools. When properly developed and interpreted, assessments can help teachers better understand what their students are learning by providing the means to gather evidence about what students know and can do. Classroom assessment can help inform instruction. Teachers can identify students' strengths and weaknesses, monitor student learning and progress, plan and conduct instruction. With ongoing informal and formal assessment, we monitor teaching strategies and effectiveness. Is this working? Inform parents about their child's performance. If this is the why, how do we actually get there? State assessment purpose. Test administration will lead to student results that accurately reflect a valid and reliable measure of what each student knows and is able to do compared to Montana's content standards. All test administration practices are subject to this ultimate question: will the test administration lead to student results that accurately reflect a valid and reliable measure of what each student knows and is able to do compared to Montana's content standards? If the test does what we intend it to do, then that is, have equal opportunities to show their knowledge, skills, and abilities, measure students' true attainment of educational goals, track student achievement over time for continuous improvement, evaluate the educational equities within and across schools, inform and provide accurate and timely information, support education information processes at local and state levels, address and close educational achievement gaps. State and federal requirement. State assessments are required for federal accountability and also provide a common measure of student progress at the school, district, and state levels. All public and non-public school students in accredited K-12 schools, regardless of ability, are required to be tested according to federal and state law. Administration of aligned statewide assessment and reporting is required. MontCAS assessments are required by the state in Accreditation Chapter 55, Student Assessment Chapter 56, Montana Code Annotated, and under federal law, Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA. Assessment data feeds our ESSA accountability system, which include our state report card. To receive Title I funding, each state must submit to the U.S. Department of Education every several years, and every district then applies to the state every year. With that in mind, here is Montana's required 6 assessments. For each of these assessments, we must ensure the following: standardized test administration. Assessments are administered in a way to each student within each school for meaningful comparisons across classes, schools, districts, and over time. Student participation and eligibility. We must also ensure all students participate and that all students are included to the fullest extent possible. Test security. We must protect the assessments from unnecessary exposure and are not disclosed. Data integrity. The efforts we go to protect the accuracy, reliability, and validity of the scores for their intended purposes. Accommodations and accessibility. All students that require supports or accommodations per their educational plan and receive the assistance that they require to meaningful access and participate in the assessment. In large-scale assessment, test security can take on several different forms depending on the stakeholder, like a testing company versus the state education agency, also known as an SEA. Testing companies may define test security with a proprietary lens in order to protect their product from piracy or disclosure, where either event could render their product unusable. The SEA's perspective on test security varies slightly, with a lens for upholding the overall quality and integrity of the statewide assessments that are used for accountability. SEAs use statewide tests as tools to measure the student's true educational knowledge, skills, and abilities. Therefore, assessment systems must have integrity, so users of these data have confidence in the achievement data that is used to fairly evaluate the educational equities within and across schools. Now please take a moment to complete these H5P questions before we move on to the next concepts.